Lots of my friends from outside Pakistan are asking me to explain what is exactly happening in Pakistan today. Everyone is perplexed, confused, and it is confusing because on the surface it appears, as the perception has been given out by the political parties, is that it's a war between dictatorship and democracy, while the military is trying to control a corrupt government to maintain its hold on the country. Imran Khan is actually representing the forces of freedom and democracy, and he is trying to come back into power so Pakistan can have a true democracy. On the surface, this narrative seems to be selling, but nothing can be further from truth. And it's actually incredible that nobody outside Pakistan actually understands the dynamics of the power struggle going on in Pakistan today. But let me give you an example before I get into the details. What is happening in Ukraine today? Is it something internal to Ukraine, the conflict, the war, the crisis? Or is it a power struggle between two major power blocs, Russians and the NATO Americans? Obviously, Ukraine is only a battlefield, but the war is between much larger power blocs. What is happening in Sudan today? Sudan is again a Muslim country which is engulfed in a civil war where its military is divided. Revolt took place within the armed forces, and the country is in flame. Infighting is going on. But what is the reality? It's a turf war between the Russians and the Americans. The Russians wanted stake in the country's assets, ports, minerals, resources. Americans are trying to stop it. And when they could not, they instigated a revolt, and a civil war is going on in Sudan right now. Comparable to those levels, Pakistan is not into a civil war as such, but Imran Khan is actually waging a war against Pakistan's military, representing the American camp. Surprising that it may sound, Imran is representing the CIA. He is implementing and executing an exact textbook of CIA regime change, overthrow, implosion of state, creating societal anarchy, creating a civil war. That's what Americans are trying to do in Pakistan, and for them, the instrument to achieve this is the street power and violence of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the Imran Khan's political party. And on the other hand, the Pakistan army is representing an independent, nationalistic approach to Pakistan's foreign and national security policy, and is more into the Chinese bloc. So basically, it's a turf war between China and Pakistan, China and Americans to control the power turf in Pakistan. So now, under this context, you will understand the power dynamics that are going on ground. When Imran came into power, he was actually brought into power by an army chief who was an CIA asset. Again, strange as it may sound, but he was. Pakistan is a strange country. You need to understand its local dynamics first. In this country, the army is the center of gravity. And it is the army which is actually keeping the country together. Army is ideological. It is guardian of the borders, the frontiers, and also the guardians of the Islamic ideology of Pakistan. It is the army which made Pakistan a nuclear weapon state and is the guardian of Pakistan's nuclear weapons. Understand that very precisely. This is unlike any other army in the Muslim world. Like Turkish army was historically secular army. Egyptian army is historically a secular army and very harsh on its own people. The other countries have their own nationalistic armies which are not ideological. But Pakistan army has an ideology. Pakistan Army is the guardian of Pakistan and its ideology as well as its nuclear assets. So, for anyone who wants to control Pakistan, it is critical that they control Pakistan Army. Or if they want to destroy Pakistan, it is critical for them to first attack the center of gravity of Pakistani state and destroy it or weaken it, so that external forces can then move in to overwhelm the state, invade the state, occupy the state, or implode it within. So, understand these dynamics. The Western concept of dictatorship and democracy does not work in Pakistan. The Pakistani state survives. Its ideology and nuclear weapons survive because of the army, not because of the politicians. Every political party in Pakistan is actually compromised by one country or another. By hostile secret services. Nawaz Sharif's PMLN is compromised by the Indians, by the British intelligence. I mean, they are completely up for sale for the highest bidders. Zardari's, now People's Parties, they are completely CIA. Historically, they are all already compromised. And Imran, he was brought into power by an army chief, General Bajwa, who was himself very strongly pro-American. And you remember the time about a few years ago, I think 2018 it was, when Imran and General Bajwa, they both together went to White House. And that's where Donald Trump had told them that he is going to decide the fate of Kashmir, and Bajwa and Imran are supposed to stay silent over it. And after that, India moved in and violated every bilateral and international treaty and annexed Kashmir. So, whatever the CIA wanted Pakistan to be, they started to implement it through Imran and Bajwa combined. Pakistan started to distance itself from the Chinese camp. Pakistan did not recognize the Afghan Taliban after the American withdrawal and left the vacuum completely. In fact, the hardcore terrorist groups which Pakistan was fighting for the last 20 years, Imran and Bajwa actually brought them back into Pakistan so a new insurgency could begin. Unbelievable treason. This is what CIA was doing, making Imran and Bajwa do all these things. Imran sold out the state bank to the IMF. So that's why you find the Pakistani currency free floating right now, because there's no state control over it. Because the state bank has now been handed over to the IMF. Again, economic terrorism, classic. So to achieve economic demolition. So everything was going hunky-dory for Imran and Bajwa until they fell out with each other. The disagreement was over extension and promotion. Bajwa wanted another extension for 3 years. Imran wanted some other general to be. So Bajwa decided to cut a deal with another political party, Nawaz Sharif's, and removed Imran from power through a parliamentary vote. He did not stage a coup. He used a parliamentary process, of course, because Imran was already hanging by a thread. His government was weak. And it was only there because army was behind it. The moment army withdrew their support, Imran collapsed. So there he goes. So a new government comes in. And then again, they're politically compromised, corrupt elements. Every political party is corrupt here. It doesn't matter. Imran is no different from Nawaz Sharif or Zardari. You will soon start seeing the mega corruption scandals of Imran as well. Now when he's out of power, investigations are being done. Unbelievable corruption is pouring out from every corner, nook and cranny. So when Bajwa removed Imran's government, that was purely an internal power struggle, nothing to do with American influence or Chinese influence or power. This was just a local power struggle. Imran felt obviously very offended because he was removed from the power. And he took Bajwa as an enemy after that. But instead of just targeting Bajwa, he started to target the institution of army as a whole. And Americans then saw that as a great opportunity that they could use Imran Khan to actually weaken the center of gravity of Pakistani state and hence create an environment where Pakistani nuclear weapons can be compromised. And Imran, desperate as he was, he started to lobby in Washington for exactly the same purpose. I mean, even right now, if you see, he has dozens of his people working in the United States, in the American establishment, in the American power corridors. He has hired the lobbying firms there. And above all, the biggest CIA hitman which point man for the Middle East, Zalmay Khalilzad, is most aggressively campaigning that Imran should be brought back into power. I mean, that's just unbelievable. They have thrown caution to winds, actually. They're not even doing it subtly. They're doing it so audaciously because they don't have time. They want to get things done quickly now. They feel Pakistan is weak and imploding and economy is weak. So they need a compliant and weak army chief or an army under Imran Khan so that they can do whatever they want to do. That is denuclearize Pakistan. So this new army chief that we have, I mean, he came after Bajwa. Imran did not appoint him. He was appointed by the other government, which Bajwa has brought. But this man is a patriot. He's a nationalist, and he's got a very sensible head on his shoulders. He is not bending backwards towards the Americans, and he is not giving a free check to the Chinese. He's maintaining a very strong policy, a nationalistic policy, making alliances in the region. He visited China, but he never visited America in the last 5-6 months that he's been on his seat as the chief of army staff. And obviously, once the Americans saw that they have an army chief now who's got an independent policy and he's got a mind of his own, obviously they're very disturbed because now they feel that Pakistan army is taking Pakistan more towards a Chinese bloc instead of being into the American camp. And hence begins the battle between Pakistan army, which is trying to maintain a nationalistic and Islamic stance in Pakistan, and Imran Khan, who's acting as a proxy for the CIA to destroy Pakistan army or at least remove the Pakistan army chief and bring a weak man like Bajwa in his place, who can then again, together with Imran Khan, restart the process that was interrupted because Bajwa and Imran had fallen off and Imran's government had been replaced. So they want to start from there. They want to rewind the whole process, bring in a weak army chief, bring Imran back, and then restart again. And that's what the Pakistan army is resisting. So before you start to judge it in terms of democracy and dictatorship battle, understand it in the larger context of a war between Pakistan's national interest and survival and the CIA's attempt to overthrow Pakistan army, denuclearize Pakistan, and for that they are using Imran Khan as a proxy terrorist. He is actually, the image that he has built in the world for himself is absolute bullshit. The man has been all along a CIA asset. All his public relationing and facade was just a facade. He has been one of the greatest threat to Pakistan's national security. He sold out Kashmir. He destroyed Pakistan's internal dynamics, destroyed Pakistan army and ISI, compromised Pakistan's interest in Afghanistan, sold out State Bank, destroyed Pakistan's relationship with China. I mean, anything that could go wrong, he made sure that it did. And Pakistan had actually lost the game completely. And it was, by God, I would say, it was stroke of luck, if you want to call it, that Imran and Bajwa fell off. And Imran's government was removed and a new army chief came who's a nationalist, strong patriot and a nationalist, and he's got a sensible head. So this is what is happening. So now when you look at the struggles, what Imran did the other day, on the 9th of May, for example, when he was arrested on a mega corruption charges, it was a genuine court case. He was arrested by the court. It was not a political victimization or vendetta. But thousands of his urban terrorists, he unleashed them and they attacked every installation of Pakistan army, including the general headquarters, air bases, corps headquarters, corps commanders' residences. They burnt them down, actually. And the game plan was that they would attack these installations and army would obviously try to defend them and fire back, and there will be casualties. And then Imran would project this in the world as Pakistan army killing its own people, genocide, hence demanding international involvement and bringing Pakistan army leadership under pressure, forcing them to resign so that a new man can be brought into power, which will help Imran to come back into power again. That game did not work out because army had the prior information of this what's going to happen. So army entirely withdrew. They actually withdrew, did not confront the mobs who were coming in. They suffered, their property was burnt down, they suffered humiliation, they suffered loss of prestige, but they did not fall into the trap that CIA and Imran was setting up for them. And Imran played out his card. I mean, now the whole world saw the Pakistan burnt because of the terrorist mobs, absolute rioters, absolute disgraceful behavior of what Imran's party has done. And now army is, once they've used up all their power, they showed all their cards, they exhausted all their resources, exposed all their undercover assets and sleeper cells. Now the army is coming after them, arresting them, filing cases against them, going to put them on trial. I mean, and Imran is in very serious trouble, and his entire party members are as well. Okay, now they don't have anything to defend themselves. The world saw how they burnt Pakistan, how they attacked the military installations. How can that be defended? They can't defend themselves now. So practically, if Pakistan Army decides to go full steam ahead and enforce the full force of the law on the PTI, Imran's political career is dead. Unless and until Army has a change of mind or a change of leadership, which I don't see that happening, inshallah. So basically, Imran's political career would be dead if the full force of law is applied on him because of the acts of terror, vandalism, violence, and actually rebellion that he did against the Pakistani state and the armed forces. So this is where we stand now. I just gave you a synopsis of what's actually happening. This is completely different from the perception that Imran is projecting to the Western world, because the Western media, the CIA, Zalmay Khalilzad, they're all projecting Imran as the savior of democracy and a man fighting for freedom of Pakistani people. Complete bullshit and baloney. The man is a CIA asset. Like Zelensky. He is the Pakistani Zelensky, who's bringing Pakistan down and preparing Pakistan for an Indian invasion, because once there is enough civil war going on and army is bogged down and there's a civil war between army and the people, Indians are waiting on the wings to move into Pakistan to capture Pakistani territory, especially the northern regions, Gilgit-Baltistan. That plan, this is the extension of this. What's happening is an Indian invasion, like the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So this is where we stand today. So don't fall for the media bullshit that you are hearing from the PTI, that they are fighting for freedom and it's the army which is imposing the corrupt people on Pakistan and army is trying to bring a dictatorship. Nothing of that sort is happening. This army chief so far has been the most democratic army chief. I mean, I want him to do something about this corrupt political government that is in place. But he is letting the system work. He is not interfering into it so aggressively that it may look like a martial law. But if the anarchy and the urban violence gets totally out of control, like the PTI did on 9th of May, then army might have to decisively intervene in a decisive intervention. But for now, they're letting the system work. They're letting the judiciary work. If the army was interfering into everything, why would Imran get a bail? Why would he be? I mean, the courts are actually in his pocket. I mean, every time the army or the government tries to arrest him, he gets a bail from the courts. The entire superior judiciary sits in his pockets. So, and that's why he's so confident that no matter what happens, I'll still get out. And he stayed in jail for only 1 day and he burnt the country. I mean, he could have stayed 2 days at least just to see what happens. He would get the bail anyway because judges were his. But even in a day, he burnt down the entire country. And now he's going to suffer the consequences of what he did, the unforgivable, unpardonable sins. He has waged a war against the Pakistani state, attacked Pakistani military installations. In billions of dollars worth of equipment was lost and property was burned. May not be dollars, but billions of rupees worth of equipment was. And humiliation, the humiliation that Pakistan suffered globally. The internet had to be shut down because of the violence, because they were using social media for spreading more violence and disinformation and propaganda and lies, and that caused so much damage to the economy. So everything piled up. And now I hope that PTI will be forced to cough up all these damages. The government is going to force them to pay all the damages that they have done because of this revolt that they launched against the Pakistani state. So, summarizing everything, do not fall for the propaganda. This is not a war between dictatorship and democracy. It's a democracy versus democracy. It's a political struggle between different parties. Army is only trying to maintain a nationalist, strong posture where Pakistan can decide on its own terms to be in the Eastern Bloc or have any relationship with the American Western Bloc. But certainly, Pakistan army this time is not willing to act as a slaves or proxy for the Americans. And that's what disturbing Americans very much. And that's why today, unprecedented, that Zalmay Khalilzad actually asked for the resignation of the Pakistan army chief. I mean, look, audacity. How can he do that? How can a CIA diplomat openly ask for the resignation of Pakistan army chief? Why are they so allergic to this man? Because he is resisting, standing up to them. He is resisting them. And why the CIA and Zalmay Khalilzad backing up Imran? So next time, whenever you look at Imran and deal with him, keep this in mind, that he's a CIA proxy. He was planted before and he's being planted now again. He's being relaunched. And he's got a full backing of the Western powers to come back into power, which of course Pakistan army is resisting, because once he comes into the power, he's going to push Pakistan completely back into the American camp. And all this work, that strategic relationship that Pakistan has with China and with Russia and with Iran and with Afghanistan and within the region, all these countries are anti-Americans, and Americans don't want Pakistan to have strategic relationship with them. That's the game that is happening in here. It has not reached the level of Sudan, but that's what Imran is trying to at least create a revolt or a mutiny in the armed forces. The Pakistan army can fight within each other. And that's where the Indians will move in, the Americans will move in, trying to secure the nuclear weapons. It's the most dangerous and dirty game that Imran is playing. Know that before you start to fall for his whatever propaganda bullshit he throws at you. The man is not a friend of Pakistan. Don't fall for his perceptions. He's lying, and he is working against Pakistan's interests, and certainly for the interest of the Indians, the Americans, and the Israelis. And that is what Pakistan army is resisting right now. So that's the basic. I think that's enough for today. If any further development comes, we'll come back to you again with our next analysis broadcast. Thank you.